All right, so we're about 24 hours post competition now for me. Before I get into, my lessons learned, my failings, the things I could do better next time, my excuses, uh, uh, and then I'll just like stay like overall, this is like a super positive experience. I feel, um, I feel like I made the right choice in choosing to do this competition to get some national level experience. And I'm just excited to take all these lessons learned and move forward. It was a super awesome time. Saw tons of great lifting, and it was a learning experience for me on the platform, like big time. Um, and some of that has to do with national level stuff, and some of it just has to do with, you know, um, just new things for me in a powerlifting meet. Um, because it always seems so simple when you think like, oh, I just have to like go out and hit three lifts and try to have like a good idea of how strong I am like going into it, and we'll just try to hit those numbers. Right? Like sounds pretty simple, but I think that after talking to my coach, he said a very simple. Like he sent me a very simple text, and I'm not going to paraphrase that, but I'll uh, elaborate, I guess, is that, when we get to a certain point in lifting, it becomes harder to replicate training numbers or exceed training numbers on the platform because it's harder to stay at that peak strength. That's basically all it is, right? So I've probably already foreshadowed enough to say that yes, I did not hit the total or near the total that I was hoping to hit, which is a big bummer. I put a lot of pressure on myself by making a video saying that I was going to hit this big total. Um, I don't think that that total isn't there, right? Like, I think if you look at my training numbers, like if I just add up my training numbers, it's there, right? So I just have to put it together on the day. And yesterday it wasn't. So just like a recap of like the day and how it went. So I woke up. I had gotten probably the best night of sleep I had so far since being in here. That was night three here in the hotel, and that doesn't say much because I slept really bad the first two nights, and that could have been due to a myriad of reasons. Perhaps maybe staying out a little too late with a couple of my friends that were here. Maybe it was, and I was like coming to bed like a little overstimulated. Maybe it was because the hotel bed wasn't that comfortable. Maybe it was nerves, like knowing that I was going to compete in a couple of days. I don't know. Point is I didn't sleep all that great leading up to the competition, and the night before ran out of storage. So as I was saying, I was really sleepy the morning of, but it was time to wake up, and I kind of made a decision that like instead of like sleeping to the last minute, I would wake up, try to give my body time to like wake up because it was an early morning session. Lifting started at 8 a.m. Um, which is not ideal, I don't think, for most people. Most people are probably going to be better off like a little bit like late morning, early afternoon. I don't know, maybe that's a bias of my own. But those are the circumstances. It's not a big deal. I lift early morning, Sunday mornings, usually on my heavy SBD day. So I wasn't too concerned about it, but it was like, I wish it was a little later. I woke up and had slight headache, a little bit sleepy. Um, but I mean, there's nothing you can do but just, try not to keep saying this. There's nothing you can do but move on with the day, right? So I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining, like, just recapping, I guess, recapping the day. Um, so hit the little mini mart on the way to the venue. I got some Excedrin. Um, that pretty much took away the headache pain. Weighed in at 114.5 kilos, which was probably heavier than I was planning on weighing in like the prep. But I'm not at the end of the weight class, so that was not really a concern. Um, and then when it came time to warm up for squats, um, honestly, things felt a little heavy. My my body going into warm-ups, and I'll paste a few of my warm-ups over here, like the last couple. When my body felt really good the morning of, like aside from being like sleepy and maybe a little headache, my body felt good. There was like no uh, perceived soreness or tendonitis that had been like lingering through, the portion of the prep. But the squats, they moved a little slow. They felt a little heavy. I spoke to my handler. I said, should we lighten my opener? And he said, no. Like you can hit that. You can hit your opener on any day, and it won't be that hard. So that was the move, right? So we opened with 247 kilos or 545 pounds. Um, the I would say it was the most poorly executed squat I've ever had on the platform. It's not abnormal for me to have like a less than ideal one on my opener. There's just nerves. Um, all that said, I got it. It was a good lift. It was 2 to 1. It moved a little stickier than or a little stickier than I would have liked. Maybe that was because the strength wasn't there early, which I think is the case. But it was also because of the lack of execution. I got called for a soft knee on the opener, so depth was good. Um, so we went up to a slightly conservative second. We went up to it was 260 or 573 pounds. So we went a 12 and a half kilo jump instead of the planned 15 kilo jump. Um, and because of the mistake, right? So had I executed well, we would have went up to the plan one. Because the speed was still, pretty much okay, as far as we could tell with the lack of execution. When it came to my second squat, execution was decent, but still not perfect. And that one was good. All three white lights. And then from there, though, it was slower, right? It was slower. I could say my execution wasn't perfect, but honestly, that was like the moment of like, okay, strength is just not what I would have expected for the day, or would have hoped, I should say. Um, so we went up to 270 kilos or 595 pounds, which would have been a 2.5 kilo all-time PR. And I should say, by the way, the second that I hit was a 15 kilo platform PR. So nothing to complain about, right? I added 15 kilos to my squat in 4 months. That's awesome, right? But uh, so before I get back down to like where the part that was down is that I was hoping to squat over 600 pounds in this meet, and I'm already kind of forecasting here the 595. It was like so close, so close, so close, but it was like I could tell, like when that moment of like where you have enough time to think about something in a slow lift, I just could not turn on that extra gear, and we missed it. Um, so at that point, it's like, okay, well, I have to go 6 for 6 from this point on. I have to get all three benches, all three squats. I don't care how conservative we have to be. I don't want to kill my total completely. Like, yes, I got the 15 kilo squat PR, but this is powerlifting. Total is what matters the most. So, moving on to bench. Bench rows were moving pretty good. I felt very happy with the last warm up. It wasn't lightning fast, but it felt good. Um, so we moved on to um, the opener. We opened at 165 kilos or 364 pounds. This was a platform PR match on the opener, and it's funny because I've heard people complain about the IPF carpet before. This is Powerlifting America, so the carpet is the same that they would use on the international stage. Um, and I'm on day 3, meaning there's been people deadlifting on it for a couple of days. And I don't want to say most, but many deadlifters like to use baby powder. And so there was baby powder all over the platform, and they vacuum it, but it's kind of something that needs to be more washed out. And in addition to that, the carpet isn't really carpet. It's kind of hard to explain. It's more like a felt, I guess. I didn't feel it with my hands, but it is. Anyway, I digress. It was very slippery. I do not have a feet forward position. In fact, I'm benching in heels now because I want to get my heels. I like to get my feet more under me. It was slippery. I could not get my footing on the opener, but the opener is something you put in that you can hit under any circumstances. So even though I was kind of unprepared for that level of slipperiness, we still hit it. Also, I should note something in my warm-ups. My handler was saying that my right elbow was not looking very locked out, so that was something I was very conscious of the whole uh, my whole time on the platform for these 3 attempts. Anyway, the opener moved well. We made a 5 kilo jump, so to 170 kilos or 300 and oh wow, 375 pounds. So this is a 5 kilo bench PR, or platform PR, I should say at least. Um, so this was lower than even like my expected safe second attempt. And it moved well. I was finding the footing a little bit better, but I still couldn't. It still wasn't great. Um, and so we just went up another 5 kilos after that, and that was that was my planned second attempt. So for my third, I hit my planned second, which was 175 kilos, or 386 pounds, only 2.5 kilos under my all-time best. And given the circumstances of like the platform was like not, I was not having a good time benching on it. Like, um, this is my first time on an Alico bench, and I liked the bench a lot, but I did not like the carpet. It was really bad, and I contemplated changing shoes. But the only other shoes that I had with me were Avances, which I love those shoes. They are super grippy. I love squatting in them. I love deadlifting them in them. But the heels look like they're up, even though my heels are down. And I wasn't going to come out for my third and get called for your heels aren't down and not even get a start command, right? So I just rolled with it and tried to keep my feet in position as I can. So we took so this is a good attempt. This is a 10 kilo platform bench PR with 175 kilos. And it was a grinder. It was tough because when things start getting hard, I think like maybe instinctively start driving with your legs more. That's probably why a lot of people's butt comes off the bench when this happens. Luckily, that's not an issue for me, but I could not apply that extra leg drive. My feet, I could feel my feet sliding when I tried to, so I just kind of had to like hold in as tight as I can, and it was like a 10-second bench grinder, and I had a lot of thoughts, right? And then I was just like, make sure you lock that right elbow out, right? And I got it 2-to-1. I think I was called for up down on that side. Whether it actually went up and down, I don't know. Probably the perception, I could certainly see how that happened. It was very slow press, but I got it, and that was probably the best feeling lift of the day. Like I felt the most accomplished for grinding that one out under the circumstances. Um, so moving on to deadlift, taking warm ups, 1 red, 2 red, 3 reds, moved very fast. But as soon as we got to 200 kilos, we added that yellow on there. Uh, that was like, it's not there. Deadlift is not there. Um, I took my second to last warm up at 4 reds, 485 pounds, 220 kilos, and that was a moment when I said, "Should we lower my opener to my handler?" And he was like, "Yeah." We dropped it from 270 kilos to 265 kilos, which is 586 pounds, 584 pounds. Which again, is kind of disappointing because I had plans to pull 300 kilos plus this meet, and but based on the squat and maybe because of the failings of the squat, the lost energy, um, the deadlift was not there on the day, and there's nothing you can do but just try to put together a plan for the best you have on the day. Right? There was no point in loading up something that I could not hit. Um, so we hit the opener, and it moved like an appropriate opener. It wasn't lightning fast. I usually like my openers to be extra light though, so considering we lowered it and it was still only like, okay, that's like a good an average opener speed. Um, you know, it's kind of disappointing. In the moment, I'm already kind of like, fuck, man, that sucks. So we moved on to, we went up 10 kilos to two, no, to, we went up 7.5 to 277. And yeah, that was like 612 pounds. And it was, it was tough. It was a tough second attempt, not like a little bit on the tough end, I should say. So from there, as I was walking off the platform, my handler says, "What do you think? Another 5 kilos?" I said, "Yes," knowing that you can change your third attempt deadlift. And you know, kind of I review the video because there's a live stream, which is obviously the videos that I'm pasting over this. I was like reviewing the second and debating whether I wanted to go up any more than that 5 kilos because I felt pretty confident that the five was going to be there no matter what. And he made a good call too, like right, like reinforcing to me that the five was there. And when I was looking at the number that five was, it was 282.5 kilos, which is under my safe second plan, you know. But you know what it is, best laid plans, right? So whatever. It was, yeah, 282.5 kilos or 623 pounds, which is a platform PR match. And I was so tempted to just like, let's just go up 2.5 more. Let's get the platform that way I could PR all three lifts at least, you know, even though I didn't have the day that I wanted. But I briefly talked with him and he was like, I don't think so. And I think it was the right move. Uh, as you're seeing the video now, in hindsight, would the extra 2.5 been there? Probably. But in the moment, it was more like I need to be semi-conservative with these thirds because I just don't want to kill my total, right? That extra 5 kilos meant a lot to me in that moment. Like I didn't want to uh, total even less than what I was hoping for. So uh, we hit it, right? It wasn't an absolute grinder, but it was a tough third. It was a clean third. Um, and my total ended up being 717.5 kilos, which is a 27 meat 27 kilo meat PR. Um, so that's nothing to be unhappy about, right? Like I PR'd all my lifts. It was on the national level. There were some conditions that were unfavorable, uh, and but we still got a really good PR on a less than ideal day. It just That's the caveat. That's the part that upsets me is that it was a less than ideal day. But this that's the sport of it, right? It isn't like, oh well, I just had less than ideal day. I'll just come in next week and smoke that PR. So that's it is what it is, right? We're moving on and take those lessons learned. I'm happy that I got the PR. I'm happy. I'm so grateful that my buddy Drew, who competed on the first day, and I handled him. He was able to handle me. That was freaking awesome. Um, I'm appreciative of my coach. I'm appreciative of like my gym and Ironside training, and I'm just excited for the next nationals. But you know, obviously, first I'm going to do a meet in the fall in September, so I'm about 6 months out from that, and I'm coming back for that total uh, even more, right? So I still think I'm capable of like around a 50 kilo PR total because there was so much in the tank from this day based on my training. So I know that if I build a little bit more, like more of like an appropriate speed over the next 6 months, and then I hit that day, I mean, who knows? And it'll be a local meet, so you know conditions will be favorable, at least more favorable than they were for this. Um, but anyway, I got to check out of my hotel, and anyone who's like followed this even a little bit, I appreciate that because I'm not the highest level of lifter, at least not yet. You know, I'll probably never be competitive in the open at least. And it's cool that anybody watches these to any extent, but it's been fun trying to document this process at least. It'll be fun for me to look back and see what I was thinking, where my headspace was. And I think that's all I got to say, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.